Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be a brief little review for Sword Art Online, episode 18. This was definitely an interesting episode, but I was left kind of feeling by the end of it like not a whole heck of a lot happened in it. And it's the first time that I've run across an episode that kind of left me feeling a little bit disappointed that, because there were so many opportunities where they were skirting that edge of Sugu figuring out that Kirigaya and Kirito are the same person. She logs out of the game at one point in the episode, and she goes to his door, and very, very closely does she go into his room. But of course, her sort of nervousness over her grabbing him and hugging him in a moment of weakness in a previous episode led her to not. And I just felt like I was on the edge of my seat waiting for the revelation, or at least the first steps of that, that would lead to the conclusion, oh my God, this is my brother, this is my cousin. And because we didn't get that, it just kind of miffed me a little bit. But I do like what we did get. We basically got to see a little bit more of the thought processes behind Sugu and why she got into ALO, basically. It was, as I suspected, and I think I've said before in previous videos, that it was something she did to feel closer to her brother, that was taken away from her, locked in this sort of coma because of the nerve gear and because of how Kayaba set up SAO and everything like that. She wanted to see what it was about this virtual world that was so enticing, that Kirito loved so much. Of course, not knowing that this was Kirito and Kirigaya at the same time, she saw it as her brother, someone she lost. So she basically felt like this would be a link, sort of being able to understand what he's going through. And little did she suspect how much she would grow to love it as well. Now, I loved her explaining that exhilaration of flying through the skies in ALO and stuff like that. Just brilliant, sort of. I know that feeling when I've played Final Fantasy for the first time, and when I've played every subsequent game, and I'm sure it's even a more grand experience for people who have played MMORPGs and stuff like that. Whenever you tap into a new world, you get this exhilaration, and I can only imagine in a virtual MMORPG, you are just above and beyond loving your surroundings and loving the environment, the people you're sharing that world with, and the adventures and misadventures. All of that seems compelling to me. Now, one of the things that seems to carry over into ALO that we see in this episode is not quite the guild mentality where people are part of a guild, but it seems to be the guilds are more akin to species, and there are many different species within ALO, but they still have that sort of hierarchy, and they still have that requirement that you have to be sort of honoring, the rules and regulations of, in this case, not a guild, but a species. And we see that Sugu as Lifa within ALO actually runs into trouble when some of the sort of leaders of that area don't want her to go. And she basically says, because she's so desperate to experience something new, and this basically, again, taps into that thought process of why she likes Kirito and why she wants to go on adventures with him. It's not so much, at least unless she's in denial, it's not so much that she's infatuated with him or in love with him. She's infatuated with the idea of adventures, experiencing something new. I think her tapping into ALO was exactly that. And now that she's been in there for a while, she wants to go to new areas in the game and face newer threats, newer monsters, go on new adventures and that kind of stuff. And Kirito is the perfect opportunity. Well, this obviously comes into conflict with, I forget the character's name, but he very much reminded me of Heathcliff when we had that situation very similarly between Heathcliff and Asuna. He didn't want Asuna to go from her guild, and I can only imagine that down the line that could be a potential threat. Somebody that, of course, is going to stand in the way of Kirito and Lifa along the line somewhere. And I love the little conversation between Lifa and Yui when Yui's trying to figure out what it means to like someone. And of course, Lifa, I think we see a little bit of a quirky, sort of humorous reaction that may mean she is in denial, that she actually is sort of liking Kirito a little more. I'm waiting with bated breath to see the reveal. I was really hopeful this was the episode we were going to get it in. But of course, we are left off with this cliffhanger of these people watching over them, using an animal and that kind of thing was very interesting. And it was also that grating on the nerves once again because of Sugo. We had that scene with him and Asuna, and for once, though, it was something that gave me hope because she's been trying to catch that code that he puts in, basically so she can maybe get out of that cage. And I hope that's something that's going to happen. Now, once again, touching base on this force we know nothing about that's keeping an eye on Lifa and Kirito, I'm wondering if this ties back to Sugo. And of course, just the malevolence that dripped off him as he revealed to her having seen Kirigaya in the hospital. But like I say, it gives me hope that maybe Asuna is going to be, because we know she's a tough girl. We know that, this has not broken her necessarily. I don't think she would be planning or trying to find a means of escape if it had actually broken her fully. And my hope is that maybe it will be her breaking out and running into Kirito, and that's how they save her or something, or at least the chance meeting of the two, so he knows that, yes, she's there, and he has a full-on goal to try to save her. And, basically the rest is speculation. I'm just thinking maybe that's how she gets out. Maybe this dark force we see watching Lifa and Kirito are to do with Sugo. Maybe they're to do with the people she left behind. Who knows? Basically, I'm just on the edge of my seat. Even though, like I say, this episode was slightly dissatisfying for me, it still had a lot of insights and carried with it a lot of potential for the next episodes and the unfolding story. And otherwise, that's pretty much all I'm going to have to say on it, so I will catch you later. Peace.